make some decisions according to what your requests are. We thank him. We ask him to accompany us back to our destination, and we say, we hope this will be a happy new year. Thank you, Lord. Amen.
Thank you. Please stand with me as we pledge allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Happy New Year to everybody.
Amen.
Board of Adjustments 9-member board. We're appointed by the City Council and we serve on a voluntary basis without any compensation. Our procedure for conducting business is that I will call out the petitioner's name. If you would please come to the mic. Please speak clearly, make your presentation, and then be prepared to answer any questions any board member might have or anyone in the audience might have. Once we receive public testimony on that particular item, we will deliberate and render our decision. I'll remind all members that if you have a personal or a financial interest in any particular item, you're required to recuse yourself from voting. Any testimony that's submitted by the petitioner on behalf of the petitioner during the presentation of the agenda item will be binding as to any decision the board makes relative to the motion. I'll remind members of the board, if you make a motion to deny, you must give a reason for that denial. This time I'll introduce the members who are here tonight. Ms. K.T. Brown, Mr. Steve Hughes, Mr. Nathan Williams, Ms. Jennifer Shaw, Mr. Bart Prince, Mr. Pickett Reese, Mr. George Howell Jr. I'm John Stanley, your chairman. Our planning control staff here tonight, Mr. James Center, Mr. Robert Smith, Mr. Tommy Tyson. It requires 5 votes to approve a motion, and we have 8 here tonight. Should have one more showing up. Any questions before we get started? Okay, we have 6 items on the agenda tonight. James, I assume there have been no removals?
No, sir.
No delays?
No changes.
No. Okay. So we have 6 items, and we'll go through those beginning at number 1. Item number 1 is presented by Maggie Washington. Ms. Washington, representing Talent Education at Art Christian Academy, requesting a special exception to operate a private school in a multi-tenant building located at 2600 East South Boulevard in an O2 zoning district. Ms. Washington.
Thank you so much, and good afternoon, everyone.
Thank you.
I'm Maggie McElroy Washington. I'm a resident here in Montgomery, and presently we are asking permission for a facility located at 2600 East South Boulevard, Suite 180. We're basically in the business of educating young minds ages K through 12. We have a track record of our success. Presently, we have 15 students that we've graduated, and of the 15, they're all attending college, either here in Montgomery, Birmingham, or in Florida. We track our students on a yearly basis to see what they're doing, how they're doing, and to also see if they can use our assistance in any capacity. My son is also one of the graduates of our our school, and he has 2 more classes to finish before he graduates from Lawson State. Not only is he a student, but he's also a presidential scholar. So with that being said, it shows that we are tracking our students, and the students are excelling pretty much beyond our belief. Our slogan is taking an extra step towards educational excellence. We are a K through 12 grade school. We have 7 employees, and they're basically all either full or part-time employees.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
A couple of questions that I have. Our agenda says that you are in 1,692 square feet, but the total lease space is 3,664 square feet. So where do you intend to be on your square footage?
Within the next 4 to 6 months, we're anticipating utilizing the remainder of that facility because the phone has been ringing continuously. Parents are actually getting wind that we're not just teaching, but we're going above and beyond the expectation. So between now and August, we're hoping to utilize the remainder of the facility.
Up to 3,664 square feet.
Yes, sir.
Right, gotcha. Okay. Our agenda here has your hours of operation. I want to confirm that with you. Monday through Thursday, 7:30 to 3:30.
Correct.
Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 12 p.m.
Correct.
And Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Any questions, board members?
I have one.
Mr. Hughes?
Who else is in this building with you?
Presently, the owners, they're utilizing the third floor. That is a real estate agency. And then there's a chiropractor, which is on the opposite end of us, and a nursing service.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any other questions, board members?
No question, but as I looked at it, I want to thank her because I'm out there every day trying to get something open to get our children off the street.
Thank
So I
you.
thank you.
You're so welcome. And can I just add, please, we're not just an educational facility. We also provide mentoring on a monthly basis. We bring in a mentor every 2 to 3 weeks, and they're not just typical people that are citizens, but they're from the legal system. They're from the educational systems outside of our school. We bring in nurses, doctors, lawyers, and on every month we are celebrating something. We have our parent awareness program. We just had our second 9 weeks awards program, so we do awards every 9 weeks, and we bring in outsiders to be a part of those awards programs. Some of the people that you all may be familiar with are former Mayor Omar Neal, that's one of our mentors, B.J. McCullum, who's retired from the Montgomery Police Department, and the list goes on. Aaron Motley, who's the general manager for Trinity Broadcasting Network. So we don't just bring in people, we bring in people where the students can see what they can do beyond graduating, and we also prepare them for college. It would take me all afternoon to go through all of the things that we are imposing on our students, to include career skills job shadowing. All students who are in the 11th grade, they have to identify at least 2 careers, and they have to do detailed research to find out about the labor market regarding those careers, the best place to go to college for those careers, and to see what they're going to be paying by the time they graduate. And we also have career days where other educational entities come in and present to the students.
I was sold that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for what y'all are doing.
You're so welcome. We're welcome.
Anyone else on the board have any questions?
I would just like to congratulate her also on the work she's doing.
Very good.
Thank
Because we
you.
do need that.
That's right.
It makes me think about the school downtown for boys, for all boys school downtown here located.
Yes.
It's another good school that's doing good things also. So that's a wonderful job. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone in the audience care to address this item?
Entertain a motion.
The board will entertain a motion. Ms. Brown, you want to give it to us?
I so move.
You
That we
so
grant the
moved to
variance.
what?
Grant the variance.
Approve?
Yes.
Thank
Have a
you.
motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Pratt, seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. It's unanimous. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, and we'd like to keep you all informed as to what we're doing on a monthly basis. So before I leave, I'd like to get a contact information number, or I can call back next week. We'd like to keep you all informed as to what we're doing.
Call
Very
back
good.
next week.
Thank you, and you all keep up the good work.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The pay is real good. Isn't it, Ms. Brown?
Yes, the two good.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's the kind of presentations we like.
And that's how I get on to my students about speaking up, speaking out again, so thank you so much.
Item number 2 is presented by Michael Kelly. Mr. Kelly, requesting a side yard variance, separation between structures variance, and a coverage variance for 3 existing accessory structures located at 4024 Fawnsdale Drive in an R75 single-family zoning district. Board members, take a look at this, and as Mr. Kelly makes his presentation. Okay, Mr. Kelly?
Yes, sir. Good evening. My name is Michael Kelly. This is my wife, Loretta. We appreciate the time to come forward. A brief narrative. My wife purchased this house April 22nd on 2015, and she moved in shortly thereafter. We met and got married on October 25th on 2015. The house had an existing small shed with a carport put over it and a concrete pad to the left.
Okay, time out. Let us, as you go through that, let us make sure we know which one we're talking about.
Okay.
Because there's, on our agenda, there's a buildings designated as A, B, and C.
Okay.
A is the garage,
Okay.
C is the carport cover, and B is the shed.
A was an existing structure already there, a carport a few feet over a small shed.
So the 2 you said were there originally were what, A and B?
Yes. No,
Okay.
correction. A is a 2-part structure.
Okay,
It is a carport sitting a little bit over a shed.
okay. But A, known here, identified here as a garage.
Okay, yes, sir.
Okay.
And B was a concrete pad that was there.
A pad.
Correct.
Got it. Okay, go ahead.
All right, my wife had a shed that was out in the country at a neighbor's house. She was going to lose the shed, so we decided to keep it. We asked our neighbor if we could remove a corner post of their fence in order to get it in our driveway. We have a very narrow driveway. They said okay. We moved it, got it in, put it on an existing pad, and reconcreted their post back in the ground.
And that's B.
That is B, yes, sir.
That's B.
Yep.
B.
Okay.
All right, in May 2017, I partially retired from work due to some medical issues, and we decided this is the home that we wanted to stay in for the duration of our life, and we began thinking about how we could make it a nice retirement home. We always wanted a hot tub and a camper, so we began to check into that. We wanted to get a sunroom, but found out that it was going to be way too much money. And we found us a small toy hauler camper for a very good price and got it, and came up with the idea that we would pour concrete next to our existing driveway to make it wide enough to add an additional carport.
That's C.
That is C, yes, sir.
Okay.
In item A, we enclosed the walls, which did not increase any roof coverage, and we poured concrete, and we had the structure C built. We chose the company of Carolina Carports to do this structure, as is that was the people that previous owner used to do number A. So we got the same make, the same color scheme, same design. Wanted it all to match. All right, you should have various pictures in front of you as I'm going through this if you'd like to look through them there. The carport was installed in 2 different days, 4 hours late into the night one day and 4 hours early in the morning the next day. We received a letter, this was on a Monday and Tuesday, excuse me. We received a letter from the city on Friday saying that we had some items that we were out of spec on. We had no idea. We're homeowners, but we thought that you could do what you wanted to do on your own property as long as it was safe, in good taste, and looked nice. And that is what we did. received that letter, and I went down to the Planning Commission, talked with the secretary there, and everything that she told me to do, we have done. I have some handouts I'd like to give, if I could, to you guys, that Tanya Ingram said that it would be okay to do.
We may already have it,
No, sir, do not.
This is a different.
This is something different.
something new.
Yes, she
Okay.
said to hand it out tonight.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe it'll help me understand it better.
It is a petition from numerous neighbors and passersby. A lot of people are tired of the neighborhood, and they
Put an
will-
extra in here. Mr. Holmes is coming in right there, but he's not going to be able to vote on this anyway.
This is a.
All right. Start over with telling us what this is.
All right,
We're
what
not
that
gonna sit
is-
here and read it, but we're going to take your word for it.
All right, sir. What this is a petition that we circulated among a few neighbors and numerous retired people that walk in our neighborhood. And we asked them to read it and give us an honest yes or no. Yes means they have a problem with our carport staying. No means they do not. So this was 13 various people in the neighborhood, and we all received a no from them. The other are invoices of what we have paid for everything we have done, short of the hot tub that we had installed in Building A once we had it enclosed. Once again, we did not know that we had violated any laws. We just wanted our house to look nice, and
And we had mentioned it to our neighbor on several occasions of what we were doing, and they had no problem with it. Nothing negative about it.
Do you know why you're here?
yes, sir, received a letter saying that we were out of spec in the items that we put in.
Well, you're outside the bounds of what your zoning allows you to do.
Yes.
Right.
Okay? Specs have nothing to do with it. What it looks like has nothing to do with it. And the fact that a contractor built it and didn't bring it to your attention, that's not our problem, okay? So apparently, somebody had a complaint. James, is that correct? Did
Yes.
somebody have a complaint?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so if that person's here, they'll have that opportunity to address tonight, okay?
Okay.
So I want to make sure you knew why y'all were here, because you're in violation of the coverage, you're in violation of your setbacks from the side property line, and you're too close to separation between structures.
Yes.
Okay. So we appreciate what you've done to make this presentation to help us understand the situation. Okay?
Okay.
I think in some cases you are like in one particular instance, building C is within 1 foot 7 inches of the side property line.
Yes, sir.
So what that automatically tells us is that could be a potential for water. Where's the water from that building going? Is it staying on your property or is it going on to your adjacent property owner?
Possible both.
That could be a problem.
Actually, doesn't it run long ways, though?
No.
It doesn't.
So
You're talking about water from the shed, like when it rains?
is it a gable roof or is it, does it?
It's a gable roof.
It's a gable roof?
Yes.
Okay, so if I guess the edge of that gable is 1 foot 7 inches from your property line.
Okay.
Is that about right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that could be a problem. Don't know how your property is sloped, don't know where that water drains, but that could be a problem. But again, if whoever had the concern, they'll be given that opportunity to come up and speak.
Okay.
If they wish. So that's the issues that we have to deal with. And I assume that all three structures are on a slab,
Yes, sir.
all permanent. They're not on skids. They could be moved
No, sir.
and
The
relocated.
building C, well, it's not really a building, it's a carport, but when the workmen showed up to build it, they discovered that the driveway sloped 9 inches,
Into our property.
and they had to cut 9 inches off of every leg on one side in order for it to fit right.
Right.
Everything is mounted in concrete, very securely.
Okay. Okay. Board members, everybody understand the issues here? Does anybody on the board have a question for the petitioners? Ma'am, you'll be given an opportunity. Ms. Brown?
How long have you had A and B on your property?
How long is the pad?
A was there when I bought the house in May of,
It was there when you bought the house from
Right.
the person that you
A
bought?
was there when I bought the house.
Okay.
B,
So it was in violation of the setback on the side property line at that time when they bought
At
it.
Right.
that time?
and see, we
But
had
it
no
has been
idea.
there. It has been there, how long have you been there?
I've been there since, April of 15,
So
is when I
therefore-
purchased the house.
It has been there since you moved in there.
Right. I
All
think
right.
the thing that I handed you,
2010 was when the previous owner put the carport up, structure A.
And then you bought it.
And then she bought
and
it in
was already
2015.
there.
and then
And
we
it was
bought it.
already in violation.
And so since that was already there, we had no idea that it was in violation or anything.
I understand you're saying that it was already in violation, but it wasn't already in violation according to them when they bought it. And they
It
were
wasn't
not-
them, but it was
they
a
were not-
violation of city's ordinance.
But they weren't given that information.
Right, but
Right.
that's,
Before they purchased it.
understand.
And then you asked B. B was moved probably in December of 15, is when the B the B shed was moved in there.
The B came in after you had purchased the property.
Correct.
But B was on a slab, was put on a slab that was already existing when she bought the
Right.
house.
The slab was there already. They had a shed there that they had taken down, and the pad was already there.
Thank you.
Other questions, board members?
Just a comment, reading, it looks like, since there's nothing wrong with building B by itself.
That's correct. It's except for separation between structures.
Yeah. Which, yeah, setback from the back line is okay, okay. Just, I'm
Okay.
thinking out loud, it helps.
Sure.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, C is the carport that we just built. If you can tell from our house, our driveway is very narrow. It's on the edge, and so the carport had to be put on the edge, which is the same as the other building A. Whenever we had that installed, we didn't move that way any at all.
Understand.
And then the driveway curves in, so that makes it even harder to get something in as a camper or whatever, so.
Understand. But it's still in
I know.
violation.
Yes.
And that's why we have the Board of Adjustment.
Exactly.
So that property owners can come to this board and request those variances before they build. Okay.
One
We
more
would
question.
if we'd known.
Ms. Brown, you got a question?
Yeah, you have 3-foot separation between all three structures?
3 foot between, yes,
Between all three structures, you have a space of 3 feet.
There is a requirement that they should have been 10 feet apart. Instead, they're 7 feet apart. Correct, Mr.
there's 3
James?
feet between.
Yes, sir, but they're also,
Isn't that correct?
Yes.
They're
yes, sir.
7 feet apart, and therefore they're requesting a 3-foot variance.
Well, C, the carport is within 3 feet of the main dwelling.
We can't hear you.
C, the carport is within 3 foot 4 inches of the main dwelling.
Right.
So we've got multiple separation requests,
Okay.
where it's not just the one.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay? All right, I'm going to see if anyone else would like to address this item. You'll be given the opportunity to come back, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Would anyone in the audience care to address this item? Hello.
Hello, how are you today?
Good.
My name is Kristen Dyson. This is my husband, Martin.
Kristen,
Kristen
last name?
Dyson,
D-Y?
S-O-N, like the vacuum. We live next door to the property My husband is handing out some photos to you guys right now. So just to make things a little clearer, they are right. The original, the neighbors before them had in the back, they had a shed that they used for storage, and immediately in front of the shed was a two-car carport. That was an open structure.
You're talking about A and B?
I can read B, I believe A, yes, A.
A and B.
Well,
A is
A.
the carport.
Right,
A was the existing car.
carport, and right behind it was a shed, and then the carport kind of met up to the shed, and it was gravel underneath it. And they took the carport, the two-car carport, and they put in a cement pad, they put walls on it, and they put a hot tub in there, and they enclosed the building. And we knew that they were going to put a hot tub at the end of the driveway. And we weren't sure why you would want a hot tub at the end of your driveway for people to be able to see you. So I guess enclosing it in made sense to them. But the problem is now is we have, in a row, we have three, and as you can see by the pictures, we have three manufactured structures. It's all our backyard is 1, 2, 3 huge manufactured structures. In C, they can call it a carport, but it's a 2-story pole barn. It's not a carport. It's much higher than a normal carport is. It's huge. And it's 20 inches from our property line. And other people may not have a problem with it, but it's not encroaching on their property, and they don't have to look at it in their backyard. We do. And so that's the main concern of ours. This is just, and also resale. When prospective home buyers come to look at our house, it feels and looks like from our backyard, which I guess nobody has come into to see our view, that we live next door to one of those places that sells manufactured buildings. It doesn't look like we live in a residential neighborhood anymore. So that's kind of our major opposition to the variance.
Is your opposition primarily to building C?
Yeah, and yes, primarily to building C and probably a little bit the enclosure of the old carport. I mean, I'm not sure why they,
You mean building A?
Yes.
Yes, it was a carport that they enclosed in and ran and all that stuff too.
It didn't have walls before?
No.
Okay. It was open like the other one?
Right.
Oh, okay.
Right. So they've since enclosed building A,
Yes. Which is,
And-
building
and then-
A is actually 2 different structures.
and then, I understand,
Okay,
I'm referring to the
All
building
right.
by A, B, and C.
okay,
Building A is enclosed, at least on your side of the property,
yes,
and building C is partially enclosed, and you said, quote, "It looks like a pole barn."
it is a pole barn.
Okay.
If you Google image pole barns, it's a pole barn.
Okay,
It's huge.
okay. All right, but your objection is certainly building C, and what about building A do you object to? All a part of it?
I think it's more how many of structures there are in a row. And
We're really looking at 2 structures,
Yes,
A
sir.
and C, right? We're not dealing with 3.
No, sir.
The shed's okay,
Right.
right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So,
Building
I'm
A,
trying
what-
to clarify.
Yeah.
Okay, make sure we're all on the same page here.
Our main objection is the excessive number of buildings and the excessive size of building C. It is correct, building A was pre-existing when they moved in. Our former neighbors put that in. It was in the back corner of the lot. Didn't really see a big deal about it, and we weren't aware of the different regulations governing the placement and location of buildings. Didn't think anything of it. Yes, we did talk to our neighbors. They told us they were pouring the concrete, they were putting the hot tub in. We didn't have any issue with that. They did not discuss with us the size of building C and the enclosure of building B. We came home from work one day, and that was already underway.
Okay? Is there a water issue?
There's potential for a water issue, yes, sir. We haven't had a significant rainfall since the building has gone up. I'm sure the snow melt today may give an indication of it. but as you can see from the photographs, it's close enough to our fence line, and it's a large enough structure that the water can't help but come onto our property.
So if there's a water issue, would it be on C?
Yes, sir.
Or A, or both?
It would be mainly on C.
Gotcha. Okay. Have you, and the petitioner, have y'all had a meeting to try to come to some understanding, or did you just decide to file the complaint on your own?
No, sir. The last I spoke to them was when they were having it constructed, they asked permission for the workers to come into our yard. It's that close to the fence line, they had to come into our yard to finish constructing that side of it. We have not spoken to them about it since then. We were not made aware of the petition that was passed around, and there's been no further discussions about it. It wasn't until it was constructed that we first learned about it.
Gotcha. Okay.
A lot of it is we don't want a contentious relationship. We're just trying to protect, our rights as a homeowner with, all these manufactured buildings right smack on our fence.
Right. Understand. Okay. Anyone on the board care to ask Mr. and Ms. Tyson, Dyson, is it Tyson or Dyson?
Dyson, sir.
Dyson.
Any questions? Bo?
I mean, is there a compromise here between you and your neighbor? I mean, would you consider if they covered the buildings with, some type of vines, something that would cover it so that it's, not such a bad, it's not a bad sight to you guys when you, in your backyard, if it was somewhat covered, would that help? I mean, are y'all open to compromise, or are you like, we want them gone and, or nothing?
I think we're open to compromise. It's never been broached.
Do you have a suggestion?
I mean, even if they were to put up a privacy fence, this pole barn is huge. I mean, there's no privacy fence tall enough for that.
Okay.
That would probably be the only compromise, is to put up a privacy fence and some kind of landscaping that would, help cover it.
Okay.
Observation.
What about lowering the height of the structure? Would that help? And obviously put some greenery and things of that nature to hide it, privacy fence, grow a vine. I mean,
in
vines,
combination,
yeah. Those vines grow on privacy fences all the time. So
Right. Yeah, there certainly would be something we'd be open to discussion about.
Okay. I mean, I think if we allowed them to keep it at all, they would definitely have to put up gutters and downspouts so that the water doesn't come onto you. There's a lot of things that we would require them to do, but I'm just trying to get a feel for you. If y'all are willing to compromise at all, and if you are, what suggestions what would you like to see, so that we can talk to them about if they're in agreement with that or not?
It would probably have to be some kind of landscaping. As you well know, there's only privacy fences can only go so high, and that would certainly exceed that height. Lowering, some combination, yes.
Do you happen to know what the height of the of building A is? Is it 8 feet, 6 feet? What would you guess it is? I mean, when you're in your yard, is it over your head, or is it?
It would be, probably about 8 to 10 feet.
It's tall enough for like a normal pickup truck to drive in.
8 or 9 feet.
But that's it.
Yeah. But this is probably 8 or 9 feet too. Okay. Okay, I'm through. Thank you.
Mr. Howell?
Question for the staff. Is the height of any of these buildings, A, B, or C, in violation of any ordinance?
No, sir.
No.
No? No. Okay.
That zoning, I believe,
Height
I don't have it
sign
in front of me,
is-
but I believe it carries probably a
But
35.
If they're willing to accept the
Right.
lowering the height to,
What'd you say, James?
I don't have it in front of me,
We're
but I believe probably, we're looking at probably about a 35-foot height for that zoning for, to accommodate a two-story house with the ridge lines. So,
Okay.
the accessory structure height is the same as what the main dwelling would be. So height is not an issue except for opinion on site, line of sight.
Okay, thank you.
Hey there, Joe. that Ms. Brown?
Height is not,
Well, what I was going to say, the first question I was going to ask when you said that is the water an issue, what is the issue itself that they are talking about? What kind of issue does it present?
Well, the water coming off that eave there,
Well, you understood that eave a little bit.
1.7 inches off the property line, so that water dropping here is dropping somewhere between the side of that building and between the two properties, you know?
Okay, the reason I asked you that question
There's
is.
water flowing on from that building, and as the petitioner stated, he said probable.
Okay, I ask you that question because you are more familiar with this than I am.
Right.
If you want to know why I asked the question, what is the issue? Okay, the next thing is, why can't you let the four of them go out there and talk about it as we have done with others and see if they possibly can reach some kind of compromise on what's what?
Well, we'll consider that in a motion in a minute after we get all the questions answered.
Okay.
But I think that may be where we're heading
Okay.
with that.
Thank you.
You know, but I doubt that they're going to direct me to make a decision or come to any kind of decision
Don't say that,
meeting and come back quickly. This may take a little bit more, but we'll give them that option.
please.
Mr. Hughes?
I was just thinking of different compromise items, and, you know, A is in violation, but you could consider lowering the height of C, leaving A like it is, if it's not so offensive. It looks like C is so tall and right next to their patio, and so if it were lowered and there was some greenery or something, I think that might be a compromise discussion. Also, I think concerning the water issue that we were just talking about, with the height of that building C and the water coming off the roof, I mean, I think that it probably would land in the neighbor's yard. I mean, it's not, from that height in a torrential downpour, it's landing without gutters. It's landing on the other property.
Right.
So that's an issue, I think.
Yeah, and when I asked the petitioner that question, he said probably, you know.
That's what I look.
So, thank you for that. Okay, anything else you'd like to say? I'm going to ask the petitioner to come back up.
No, sir. I'm done. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Before you sit down, if the board wishes to delay this to give y'all time to reach a compromise, are you and your wife acceptable to that?
Yes, we are.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Kelly?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
You heard the complaint.
Yes.
You heard our questions.
Yes.
And so you get the opportunity to respond.
Okay. As far as the height of the building, we wanted to possibly get a small RV. So we got a small toy hauler, and we made the roof big enough that we could get it up under. If work needed to be done on top, we could get on top of it and work during inclement weather. If we liked RVing enough, it would be large enough that we could get a larger model. That's why we decided on that height.
12 feet.
They don't have to be covered.
No, an RV doesn't have to be covered.
Let me ask you a question. Would you rather spend the money of taking the whole thing down or finding a place to park that RV somewhere else?
I don't want to take it down if we don't have to.
I'm just listening to what what they were saying as well, what, you know, some of the things that would help this, you know, pass. And
we are willing to
lowering
work.
the height would be one of them, so that's...
We're willing to work on a compromise. We were unsure as to who put in the complaint, but we had our suspicions, but we did not know for sure.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Would a compromise be that we could move it into our backyard in front of B? Is that a compromise that
Well,
y'all would allow us
we,
to do?
we're not
if
going
it
to
has
help
to
you
be-
reach that compromise. That's
Pardon?
you're going to have to do that with your neighbor.
I know, but if that's not if the
Well,
board's not
that's,
going to allow
y'all got to
us-
work that out.
But you would
Okay.
still have to make sure that it met the requirements, that it was far enough away from building B if you did move it. And, you know, you would have to still...
And you still have an issue with building A.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, you can move it to other parts of your yard, provided you meet your separation and setback requirements.
Right.
The reason you're here is you're too close to other structures and you're too close to the adjacent property line.
So you could move
Yes.
both of them, and you wouldn't even have to talk to the other party.
And like you said.
We've still got a
could we-
coverage issue.
Right, he's still,
You
well,
got
so they had
a, you got a
issue, that's
coverage
right.
issue. You got to deal with the coverage issue.
They don't need to move anything without,
Right,
No,
without
yeah,
some consideration.
without- Yeah, I want that.
right.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
if the permits had been taken out on this, this wouldn't have been built. It would have been come here first before anything started.
Right.
And I don't know what's electrified, and I don't know where plumbing is. And we need to know that.
Have you got plumbing and electrical in any of this?
Yeah, we have electrical in A and B. There's no plumbing.
No plumbing, but you have a hot tub there.
Yes, we have a hot tub.
You got plumbing for that, or you fill it with a hose?
Fill it with a hose.
And the reason that we closed that in was to keep it secure for
No,
neighborhood
neighborhood
kids
kids
or
and
whatever, you know, drowning in it, even though it has a small little lock on it. So that was the reason that we
Right.
enclosed the
Well,
whole thing.
here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna ask for a motion to delay this, and y'all try to reach a compromise and come back at the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay? Gives you time to look at ideas. Now, maybe y'all can come to a compromise as to the height of the building, or landscaping, or aesthetics, whatever the case may be. But you still have a coverage factor issue that we have to decide, are we gonna agree to that? And then you still got separation between structures. So there's a lot of issues here that I don't think we can resolve for you. Y'all can at least attempt to resolve some of the issues that affect the aesthetics and the height and things like that. And so I'm gonna ask for a motion to delay this to the next meeting, and then we'll see where we are and what you got, okay?
Okay, sir.
Otherwise, we can make a decision and tell you to take 2 of the 3 buildings down, and I don't think you want that right now. Or not, you know, whatever. I mean, our board, we are willing to be very flexible. We understand the issues. You're not the first ones that have ever come to this board asking for forgiveness, okay? And we do our best to work with that. That's why we're suggesting you try to work with your neighborhood or your neighbor and come up with a compromise. And we'll do our best to help come up with a compromise. But we can't make any promises.
Mr. Prince has a question.
Mr. Prince?
And when you all make those decisions with your neighbor, make sure that you get back here and make sure that you're in compliance with all of the necessary regulations that you have before you do anything else.
Well, you can't solve that until we make our decision. So, all right, do I have a motion? Do I have a
I did
motion?
motion. I said so moved.
I didn't hear it. You gotta tell me. What's your motion?
So moved.
So move what?
So moved that we allow them to come back at the next meeting.
So move for a delay, okay. Do I have a motion to delay? Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Howard. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand.
That'll be February the 15th.
Okay. Okay?
5 o'clock or?
Sir?
Same time, same
Time,
place.
same,
5 o'clock.
Same time, same place.
same
It's
station.
We meet
Third
it'll be the
Thursday.
3rd Thursday of February.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Item number 3 is presented by Larry Speaks, representing Lewis and Karen Mashburn, LLC, requesting variances to the landscape buffer requirement and acreage requirement for a recreational vehicle park to be located on the southwest and southeast corners of Shady Street and Lenore Street in an M3 zoning district. Mr. Speaks?
Mr. Stanley, Stephen Speaks of Larry Speaks and Associates, representing Lewis and Karen Mashburn. Mr. Mashburn's here with me today. We hope you're the final stop. We've been rezoning, we've been development plan, we've been platting, and now we're down to the last 2 requests for variance. This site is located adjacent to the Capital Oyster Bar Mr. Mashburn currently operates. I'll give you a brief overview, but essentially you come off, the Northern Boulevard is off this page, you come on Lenore Street, you turn right, you come down Shady, you come into the parking lot of the Oyster Bar. There's a large vacant piece of property between Lenora and the parking lot of the Oyster Bar now. We're proposing to create an RV park. As part of that RV park, and I won't get long-winded, but there's some storage buildings that sit over here near the Oyster Bar. We're going to relocate those over to the east side, some storage that's going to be moved so that this parking lot can be improved for the Oyster Bar. So we're improving the parking lot for the Oyster Bar as part of this RV park development. Essentially, the RV park is 5.44 acres. It is abutted on the north side by Shady Street, on the east side by the city of Montgomery. There's a small portion by the Maddox property in the southeast corner, and then Mr. Mashburn owns this other piece down here on the south side next to the river. It's outlined in that overhead. The reason we're here before you now is the guidelines state that an RV park in the city must be a minimum of 10 acres. We do not have 10 acres to develop. We only have 5.44 acres. Mr. Mashburn has petitioned the city to buy some land next door, but they've agreed to hold on to their land for right now. So they're not selling. And there's been some other pieces to the north he's asked to purchase. We can't acquire any of that land. So 5.44 acres, there's 30 RV spaces inside this enclosed area that I've outlined for you. That's one of the variances. The second one has to do with what is called a 25-foot buffer around the perimeter of the RV park. We're proposing 10. There are no standard landscaping requirements for a buffer. It just says buffer. So we're heavily landscaping along Shady Street, down the east side, and then all the way down to Lenora against the Maddox property, where actually these are magnolia trees, 10 foot on center around the east side in the southeast corner. You've got Arbor Vitae across the south side of Shady Street. Those are 8 foot on centers. And then we've actually added some more landscaping between the parking lot and the RV park. We met with the urban forester and going really dense. We're basically going to create a landscape screen wall basically around the perimeter to screen off the RV park. And I can answer more questions for you. The entrance to the RV park will be coming off Lenora. We're actually in the final steps of vacating some right-of-way of Lenora. There's going to be some gate access here and here to control access. I can get into all that if you have questions, but I'm here today to talk about the acreage and then the buffer.
Is the landscape irrigated?
We hadn't talked about that. Were you planning on irrigating the landscaping, Lewis?
I'm hoping these trees take root, man. I know.
Is that not a requirement of the urban forester?
No, sir. It's not.
Okay.
You know, all that gets into, John, is it gets into those parking. It's a parking landscape requirement. You know, if you get over a certain number of parking spaces, you have to irrigate. But there's nothing specified in these RV park guidelines that require any kind of irrigation on these parks.
Okay. All right. Any questions, board members?
Yes. I have a question.
Yes, sir.
It may not be germane, but if y'all do all this
Yes,
and
sir.
it looks good, tell me how I could drive in there and launch a boat. Where do I go? The same way I've been
The
going?
same way you've been going. Yes, sir. You come down Shady. This is the same entrance. You know, the boats, when you come down Shady, you take a left into the gravel parking lot.
Yep.
There's boat storage here. There's boat storage on the other side.
Understand.
That's just going to get moved over here.
Okay.
You can still come in. You're going to launch your boat down here where it's always been.
But you still got to make that left turn and go around that driveway on the bluff. No, come back down, bottom left, come on down.
Bottom left,
Lewis,
right here.
show him where the turn is now.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Nothing
Yeah.
will change.
Nothing
You
will
still go
change.
down the
Nothing's going to change about launching a boat.
No, sir.
That's
That's
fine.
right.
Okay.
That's right.
I don't have one right now, but I have in the past. Just curious.
I got you. I understand. But that's right. The restaurant operations and all this down here around the restaurant, all that stays the same. We're just putting in gravel parking spaces.
Show me
because
that again.
all this down here around the restaurant will stay the same, KT. It's just we're going to be more defined with our parking coming back up in this
Okay.
entrance. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Will this be like just storage for RVs, or will people actually be
Parked.
staying there?
They'll be
parked
staying
there?
there.
Are you going to have, bathrooms and showers and all that kind of stuff for this as well?
Yes. There's 2 existing buildings up here that he is going to renovate and repair. One of them is going to be an office space. The other place is going to be washroom, showers, that sort of thing. Yes, sir.
Now, is this going to be a high-end RV park? Is it going to, because there's a lot of difference between a low-end and a high-end.
This is an RV resort.
Okay.
And Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
the neighbors, the people who came to the meeting with them before, they did not complain. They talked with me, and there was no complaint.
Okay.
Motion to approve?
Second.
No,
Oh, you gotta ask.
no,
Not yet?
no,
Okay.
Got to ask for
heck no. I gotta find out who might be opposed to it.
That's why you're the chair.
Anything
There you
else?
go. No, sir.
Mr. Speaks?
No, sir, unless you have a question.
Thank you. Is anyone else, anyone on the board like to ask any questions or address this item any further? Any other questions? Anyone in the audience care to address this item? Mr. Howell, I will now entertain a motion.
I move we approve the variances
You accept
as
my
presented.
second?
I move to approve.
As presented, yeah.
As
As
presented.
Ms. Brown?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand.
Good luck.
Unanimous?
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank y'all. Appreciate that.
Keep going, Lewis. You're doing good.
Lewis, you going to have some bands out there playing for the RVs? Huh?
If I can get $1 out of it, yeah.
Yeah, I know, yeah. He'll do anything for $1.
George just wanted to make sure you got approved tonight.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all.
All right, item 4, presented by Jeff Petty, requesting a height variance for an existing privacy fence located at 601 Kennelland Court in an R75S zoning district. Mr. Petty?
Good evening. I was surprised to hear that the board serves on a voluntary basis. Thank you very much from the citizens of Montgomery. I'm really surprised at that. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you. It's our pleasure.
My wife and I purchased the property at 601 Keeneland Court in County Downs in 2008. A year and a half ago, we erected a privacy fence in the backyard. My wife expressed a desire to start enjoying our backyard more. We have since also put in a pool in the backyard. At the advent of putting in the pool, we asked A Plus Fence Company, who installed the fence, to come back and to raise about a 34-foot section along the back edge of the fence up 2 feet, basically for privacy purposes. You really don't want to see me in a bathing suit. But, and then sometime in December, we received a letter saying that we were out of spec, out of ordinance, that the 8-foot exceeded the 7-foot limit. To be honest, we didn't even know there was a 7-foot limit. If we'd have known that, we would have built the thing to 7 foot in the first place. But since we received that letter, we came immediately to the city and was told we need to seek a variance for about a 34-foot section of our, what is actually a 145-foot length fence right on the back, directly behind the house. And that's why I'm here tonight, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Petty. So you're here for a 1-foot height variance, and I guess that's intended to block any view from your neighbors. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Excuse me. Basically, for privacy purposes. As I say, nobody wants to look in on somebody else in their bathing suit.
Okay. Well, we'll see if anyone else is here for or against. Any questions, board members? Anyone in the audience care to address this item? Yes, sir.
Good evening. I'm Brian Colander, and I live at...
I'm sorry. Last name again?
Colander.
Colander.
I live at 712 Keeneland, and our side yard backs up to their backyard. And they put the fence up, and now it's blocking our view, or what view we had of the neighborhood. And, they built the 6-foot fence really in our side yard, but I guess there's nothing to do about it because our side yard is their backyard since they're on the corner. But I have pictures of their fence that they raised to 8 feet.
So if you're sat, I'll wait until you get back. Sorry.
One set which shows their fence and the height of it, and it blocks our side view from the bedroom windows. And if they're worried about privacy, that fence will not give them the privacy, because from those pictures you can see through the slats if you really want to see them. And then my alternative would be if they planted Italian cypress trees, which could grow to maybe 40, 60 feet, which would give them complete privacy instead of this fence, which really distracts from the neighborhood and from our side view.
Okay, so your view of the neighborhood is really their house, correct?
No, we can see the down Keelan Way. We can see the court back of their yard and down Keelan Way to the left on that picture.
And the areas. Would you, Mr. Petty, what is that, 145 foot of length? Is that what I heard you say?
145 is the total fence. His pool is there now
In that open area.
Yeah. Right, so his side yard looks into their backyard over the pool.
Right.
Right. So his only view is the back of their house anyway.
Right.
It's not over the neighborhood, it's not over the...
Now you can see the neighborhood from those pictures.
Okay.
You can.
And-
I
and
took
we're-
some right from our
We're only
bedroom
talking
window.
about a foot, am I right? Because he could have put up a 7-foot fence.
That's correct.
So you're only talking about a foot difference.
Yes, but it's still out of code.
Right.
I understand.
It is.
Okay, that's all I have.
So is your complaint because it's out of character with the neighborhood, or your complaint because it blocks your view of the back of his house? What is your complaint?
It's both. It's out of character, and it blocks our view. It's like living in the city. You look out your window and you see a wood wall instead of a brick wall like you'd see in a big city where you have skyscrapers.
All right, what if he agreed to plant, like the other couple at Charlotte, what if he agreed to plant some vines that would grow up over the fence on your side so that you see the vine and not the fence?
I don't want to see vines either.
Okay. That's good.
The fence.
That's fine. Thank you.
The fence now blocks our the sun to our side yard, and it's killing the grass and our bushes now on the side yard. The 6-foot one was, and the 8-foot is blocking the sun.
Well, the 7-foot fence would do the same thing.
But not as much.
Okay. Thank you.
And those trees that you mentioned would also block that sun once they
But it
grow
would
up.
sure look a lot prettier.
Well, that's what I was trying to help you with the vines, but I mean.
Okay, any questions of Mr. Colander? Okay, Mr.
Yes.
Petty, you get the last
Mr.
say.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
You got a question for Mr.
Mr. Colander.
Yes.
You say that the fence is blocking the sun?
Yes. When it gets so low, it'll block the sun to the yard and our shrubberies on the side.
Okay, but all of the pictures I see here, the sun is shining very brightly on your grass on the side.
That's because I took them at noon. When
Okay.
it sets on that side of our house. It goes to the front of their house. Our house faces kind of north, so the east, it comes over to the garage and goes over to the west and sets on that side of the house.
Is your house on the east side of the fence?
East side, yes.
Okay.
I would say so.
Okay,
North, east, yes.
okay. So it's blocking most of the sun anyway during the day.
No.
And, well, if you're on the east side, your house is blocking most of the sun anyway, and there's
Oh,
only
yes.
a very limited amount of time that it's going to get sun, whether it's a 7-foot or an 8-foot high fence. Correct? Maybe an
Yes.
hour's worth of sun anyway.
Yeah, our
Yeah.
house blocks it in the morning.
Okay.
And the fence blocks it in
Got
the evening.
Okay. Any other questions of the petition? Mr. Petty?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Any response? You get the last say.
Oh, thank you. Well, first off, the privacy fence has to be up because of safety for the pool. We don't want kids wandering into the pool, obviously. If we'd have known it had been 7 foot was the limit, we would have put it 7 foot in the first place. We actually did discuss putting those real tall trees up there, and we still may actually do that. But that would also impinge his view of the road, as he was said it was his complaint. And we still may actually put the shrubbery up on our side of the fence.
Well, doesn't look like to me you got much room to do that anyway, but.
Well, we have a retaining wall on the other side, on the back side of our pool, and there's
Right.
about a 4-foot section. We could put some plants up there.
Is,
The only other thing I would like to say is the 145-foot, and we're asking a variance for only 34-foot, less than a fourth.
The 145-foot strip
Yes, sir.
is blocked by the side of his house anyway, correct?
Well, the 145 is the total radius of the entire fence. The width of the part that borders his fence is probably 60, 65, and we're only modified 38 foot more
Right,
than
but
that.
that
Yes, sir.
portion is blocked by his house from the east side anyway.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
does your yard sit a little lower than his?
Yes, sir,
So
about
therefore, there's
4 to
there's-
5
There's
feet.
a need to make it taller so that they can't actually see into your
Yes.
That's
back.
correct.
Right.
That's correct. I believe I enclosed some pictures where you can see their windows with the blinds open. You can still see them at this point.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
Just a clarification question. If that section of that fence came down 1 foot, would it be in compliance?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Chair will entertain a motion.
I move that we grant the request for a 1-foot height variance, because as I looked at it and I saw what the problem was, I think that it is in order.
We have a motion to approve the variance. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Howell. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. Is that unanimous?
Yes, sir.
It's unanimous. Your motion's approved, or your petition's. Your variance is granted. Okay.
Mr. Petty.
Okay, let's see, I think we have, item number 5 is presented by Essence Drake and Benjamin Larkin, requesting a variance to ordinance number 17-2014 for a building located at 1824 Mount Meigs Road in a B2 zoning district. Ms. Drake
Yes, sir.
and Mr. Larkin. Okay, tell us what you need. I think we understand it, but go ahead anyway.
Yeah, when we last came before you, there was a question about the portion of the property that's actually located on Arthur Street, and so we provided updated measurements.
You're going to need to speak a little clearer.
I have a baby voice, I'm sorry.
Okay, so you're 68 feet from the closest residential property.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right.
I didn't see it.
And
Did you see it?
tell us, are you going to be conducting any of these events outside of the structure?
No, sir, strictly inside.
No music, no drinking, no serving alcoholic beverages?
Well,
Outside the structure?
Not outside of the structure,
That's
no,
my
sir.
question.
No, sir, not outside.
Outside?
Not outside.
Okay. Where are your cars going to park?
There are parking places on the Arthur Street side of the building and a couple on the Mount Meigs Road side. Very limited, but there are parking places.
Do you know how many? Do you know how many parking places there are?
Mr. Larkin says 15.
15 parking places.
15?
Yes.
But is there parking down Arthur Street?
There may be 7 parking places on Arthur Street, and the additional parking spaces are on Mount Meigs Road.
Well, you can't park on the street. You got to have parking, adequate parking. You cannot park on the street. That's a public street.
Okay, Mr. Larkin has been in conversation with neighboring business owners who are agreeing to let him use their parking, since the hours are going to be a little bit different. Their hours kind of cut off at 5, and our hours would begin at 5. Would that be sufficient enough? If we were able to use those for additional?
Before this board can make a decision as it relates to parking, we can't just have some verbal approval. We've got to have something in writing saying there's either X number of public spaces available or X number of private parking spaces available. Otherwise, you find yourself parking on the street.
Right.
That's a problem.
Right.
So, let's talk about parking. What do you think you can do there?
Well, I talked to people across the street.
Okay, Mr. Larkin, you're going to need to speak into the mic.
Well, I talked to people across the street that own Capitol Grill and the punting shopping area, and like I told them our business I was going to be really available after 5, so their business shut down at 5, so that's where I was going to use their parking lot too.
But you don't have anything in writing to that?
No, sir, I didn't know that I had to put it in writing, because last time we came, it was just a measurement of the building. But now you saying now about this, but I didn't get into that, but I could put it in writing and get it notarized for you through them.
Right. Well, let me say this. Our decision doesn't have anything, I mean, you're here because that you're 68 feet from the adjacent residential property.
Right.
Okay. But parking has to be an issue here.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So.
Tommy, are they required to have a certain number of parking places?
Not existing.
Oh.
In an existing building,
Okay.
they inherit what they've got. If they're going to have after
Well,
hours.
even though it's changing.
But I think parking has to be an issue that we need to be addressing here.
Certainly.
If we're going to approve this variance. Okay?
I'm concerned about the 250 feet that's required.
Is there any lighting?
Right.
Is there any exterior lighting?
There's a light pole, yes, sir.
Just one light pole on the corner?
2.
2 light poles.
Did you say what their operating hours were?
I did not hear that.
Tell us about your operating hours, and what's the size of this building, and how many customers will it hold? How many customers are allowed inside this building? Are we talking about what is the approximate size of the building?
You know how many square feet it is?
Or the space you're going to be renting?
I think it's 40 by 60.
That's 2,400 square feet.
Yes, sir.
40 by 60?
Yes, sir.
You think it is?
Yes, sir.
So how many people will that allow?
Being that we just operating downstairs, I'd say probably 35 to 50.
35 people?
50,
You
yes,
don't know
sir.
how many parking spaces you got available?
I did. It's 15 parking spots available.
On the property.
On the property.
15.
Yes, sir. If you look on the side building
just
where
a
you got the 60 feet marker, I think it should be 10 that way and 5 going across the front. Where the 60 feet marker is parking areas all throughout there, and then there's 5 in the front. So there's 15 parking spots.
That you know you got, but
Yes,
if you
sir,
have
but
35 people there, where are they going to park?
Yeah, but that's why I was telling you about the people across the street. I had talked to them about the parking spots and all that there, because we've been there for like 20 some years, and I know all of the people. But if you want me to put it in writing to get their information, I could do that for you too.
Well, we're discussing right now.
Oh, yes,
okay.
sir.
Ms. Brown, you
Yeah,
got a
question.
question? Who's got
Well,
a question? Mr. Williams?
Since it's about parking, I would think if you can get certified letter, count all the space that they have and that you have, and if you get a certified letter saying that you can use that parking space, if the question is about parking. So I suggest you do that.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
He said, He said 35. Ms. Williams, did you finish your comment?
Yeah, I said just to make sure you count all the space before you come back. Diagram, whatever you have to have, with a certified letter, those people authorizing you to use their parking place after 5 o'clock. I think that'd be
Mr. Reese?
Yeah, I've got a question. You said you've been there for 20 years. What is the building being used for now?
The building is vacant as of right now. Mr. Larkin's father owned Larkin Fine Furniture, and he's been in the community up until his death in 2015. So it's a family a family property, not family business anymore.
But there's nothing in the building?
No, sir. It's not being utilized. We're trying to renovate the side buildings for office space and figure out what exactly to do with this space too.
Okay. Well, the issue here is its distance from closest residential property, okay? But in our decision to approve or disapprove needs to be, we need some help as to other answers. And that has to do with parking and lighting and all these other questions that we're asking, okay?
Have you,
Ms. Brown?
have you made contact with the nearest residents to where you're planning on opening?
You spoken with the residents?
The house right behind me, I talked to them.
You have talked with
Yes,
them?
ma'am, just the one right behind it.
And they had no problem?
No, ma'am.
Okay, now the last question I asked was your hours.
The hours would be from 6 p.m. to approximately 2 a.m. I'm not entirely sure at this point. I know a lot of that is going to be determined by the ABC board and whether or not we'll be able to get an ABC license. So, but tentatively 6 p.m. to 2 a.m.
And your basic ages for those people who will be occupying your business would be?
18 years
18
and older.
and up.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, any other questions, board members? Anyone else care to address this item? Mr. Cruz? I mean, Mr. Reeves?
Should we stay here?
Cruz Reeves?
Cruz Reeves, Midtown Alliance. Since you brought up the parking,
Mr. Reeves, go ahead.
This building has more than one tenant space, I understand, and that parking is for that whole building probably, not just that one tenant space. So that diminishes or reduces the number of parking spaces they have. But this thing don't even come close to meeting the ordinance. And, you know, there's a lot of residents around there besides that one that lives behind it. I just don't think you should approve this.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else care to address this item? Chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I'm a little perturbed because of being open to, I'm a little perturbed because of the fact of them being open until 2 a.m.
That's tentative. Like I said, we're in early stages of planning, and that's tentative. What is the time that you feel is more appropriate?
I feel like, I feel like anything after 1 o'clock. We got enough problem with finding bodies all over the city.
I understand.
And it kind of perturbed me that we are opening later and later and later.
I understand. We're more than welcome to accommodate those concerns that you have. 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. was just something tentative, nothing set in stone.
Okay, let me ask the next question. Are we asking, since they don't have what we need tonight, are we asking them to come back to the next meeting and bring us what we need?
That's subject to a motion.
That's subject to a motion.
Okay?
Before,
Mr. John have a
Mr. Williams, you got a question?
Yes, for the gentleman who came up and opposing the operation, I think he made a statement I didn't quite understand. He didn't explain anything. He said this don't come close to being there or something. I didn't quite understand what he meant.
Look at your map.
See
the blue ring? It's got to be, it can't be closer to anything inside that blue ring. See the little yellow line? That's what he's saying. It's not even close.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank
Yep.
you.
I think that's what he meant. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, can I make a motion?
Wait a minute. Any other questions? Chair will entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to deny.
Have a motion to deny this request. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? You opposed? Okay. Motion carries. Oh, you have to, excuse me, you have to give a reason for denial.
The distance between the neighbors' yards.
Okay. Distance.
What was the vote?
The vote was a motion to deny the request.
No,
because
Count.
7-1.
may I ask
Hold
a
on.
question?
Hold on. Who asked? No, ma'am. Who asked? Did you ask that question? No, ma'am. The vote was, all right, re-vote again. The motion was to deny because it's too close to an adjacent residential property. Correct, Mr. Holmes? Okay. All right. All in favor of the motion, raise your hand. All opposed to the motion? Okay.
It was 7.
Not 8-1.
8.
Right.
That's better.
Okay. It was denied, ma'am.
Can I not say anything else?
Yes, ma'am, you can, ma'am.
Well, my biggest issue and the main reason that we wanted to come forward before you all today is because there is a business of similar existence just 2 blocks away, and their property is directly adjacent to the residing neighborhood behind them. But obviously, they have been granted the dismissal. So what I would like to know is what's the difference between Crew Mount Meigs and what we're trying to present to you?
I'm not sure.
So this is absolute definitive answer, or is
Yes,
there a
ma'am.
second step?
Yes, ma'am. Your request has been denied.
Can they re-petition any other
You
time?
can re-petition to the circuit court.
I wish I had on this.
Okay?
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Item number 6 is presented by John and Sharon Dury, requesting an additional street side yard variance for an existing privacy fence and a street side yard variance for an accessory structure in the required street side yard located at 2600 Chesterfield Court in an R65 zoning district. Ms. Dury?
Yes, we just recently bought the house at the beginning of September, and we weren't aware that the variance for the fence was built in the wrong spot. And so we're coming for a variance to allow the fence structure to be where it is and the storage building to be where it is. And we've had it resurveyed with the pins, the new pins put in. And I have a letter from the chairman of the Architectural Board of Bellwood East neighborhood. He would have been here tonight, but he's on a cruise. He got away from the cold weather. But he gave me this to bring in.
So you're 4/10 of a foot off of the front property line.
Side property.
No, 0.4 off the front street property line, right, James?
Yes, sir.
And then you want to maintain an accessory structure that comes within 1 feet of the street side property line.
Within the fence.
So that accessory structure, what is that accessory structure that appears to be in your front yard?
It's in my side yard.
Side yard,
The
okay.
variance is for the
It's on
side
the
yard.
Chappelle, excuse me, I'm sorry, it's the Chappelle Lane side.
Right.
What is that accessory structure?
It is my husband's workshop.
Okay. And when was that put there?
2 months ago?
So you put it there without an approval?
We just...
Is it on the slab?
No,
Not on the slab,
no, it's on
on
8-inch
skids.
beams.
right? It's on skids.
Yes.
Okay. So is there any way to move it back from the property line some?
We've got it adjacent to the, so that it's with the pool, because our side yard is not a straight line. And so we've got it evened up with the end of the pool, the concrete for the pool and everything. That's why it was put where it is.
Is there no place else in your yard you can put it?
No, sir. We also had all the utilities come in and map it because of the fact that it's on a skid and it's not easy to move. We have, where it says, we have gas, water, electric are coming in along the side, but they're also coming in the backyard, running parallel with the pool. And so if we put it in that back corner, we would be running into problems with both the electric and, is it
Well, your
electric?
electric's underground, correct?
Right, but if they ever had to do anything with it,
But it's on skids, right?
yeah, it would be very difficult to,
I understand.
for them to get to it.
Understand.
And the
Okay.
water line
Just
goes there
Mr.
too.
Drury?
Yeah, there's a water line and sewer line that actually go across diagonal
Yeah.
over to the far corner to the left.
But they're underground,
Right.
Yes, sir, they are underground.
and your building's on skids.
Well, right, yes.
Okay. Is the height of the building higher than your fence?
Yes, it is. We have a 6-foot fence. We are replacing the fence this year because it is 20 years old when it got the variance to be put up. So it's been 20 years.
Be sure you check your variances.
Well, that's what we want.
Be
is
sure you check your requirements.
the variance approval today so that we can put it up exactly where it is.
No, you're not necessarily grandfathered. Just because you put it back up doesn't automatically
Okay.
mean, okay?
Okay.
Just check it,
Okay.
okay? Well, have you got a suggestion on where you can move the building to that would make it where it's not as close to the front property, to that property line?
In the middle of the pool.
Can you move it to the corner?
Well, we could, but the utilities told us not to put the structure there. So,
We can't trump the utilities, okay? But all they want it's movable, okay? So if they have to
Yes.
come dig up your yard, they can move your structure. It's not on a slab, and that's the reason I was asking. If it's on a slab, it's one thing, but it's on skids, and it's movable. So, and they move these things all the time, so.
Have you by chance talked to your neighbor that's to the left, that if they would allow you to put it on that side of
no, we haven't talked to them.
the one to the left?
Yeah, we have not
So if
talked to
you put it
them.
on that fence line behind the pool,
We're 24, the building is 24 feet from the other property line to the
no,
left.
I know, but it's the street side that's the problem.
Yes.
James, did this come in as a complaint?
Yes, sir, but I don't know if this gentleman here is the complainant or not, but it did, and the letter that the homeowners association representative gave you, he called because he had reviewed it. He looked at it prior to it, and he couldn't. Nobody's been able to figure out who called the complaint.
Did the HOA say it's okay as far as they're concerned?
That letter.
I'm
that
sorry, I don't find the letter either.
It's right there, the yellow paper.
She handed
Oh,
it to
I'm
me.
sorry, excuse me.
He called.
Okay.
He called me to tell me that that he approved it and they didn't have an issue with it from the HOA standpoint, and I suggested he put that in writing so we would have it.
We did go to the HOA before we even got the building. We weren't aware,
Well,
we
he's
lived in
addressing
another
the fence.
state, and we just weren't aware that we had to come here to get approval because
Well,
in the
he's
other...
addressing the fence. He's not addressing the building.
Well, he gave us approval on the building also. We went to him right away to find out if
Well,
it was okay.
but that doesn't mean it's okay with the city.
Okay.
Okay?
Mhm.
We're just trying to see if there's some other way to move the building. And you're saying there's not.
Without going against what the utilities said because they're all in that back corner.
That doesn't, the utility, well,
Okay.
the utilities, next thing I know, I'm getting a phone call from the utility company. You're on skids, you're not a permanent structure.
Yes.
And if they ever had to dig up the utilities, it can be moved. Okay? Correct, home builders, though?
The problem is,
I didn't see
the problem is wherever they move it, they're going to have a hard time. Because what do they have to have, 29?
Yeah.
So they're going to be.
It's still going to be too close to
What
the
do they have
property
to
line.
have on the other property line, the piece
Side,
that goes out? the
probably
side?
5. James, probably 5 yard setback on the side?
5 foot?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
If their house is, since it faces Chesterfield, why is Chappelle considered a front property line?
It's not, it's a street side property line.
It's a street side.
But it's got the same setback as the
Okay.
front, yes, sir.
Okay, it's not a side,
And
but it's a street side.
I tried to work with the existing variance in the fence, and it was obvious to me that the fence had been put in the wrong place 20 years ago, so that's why we're correcting that aspect.
Right.
And in doing that, I had to send them back to get additional information, which they have, and that's what I got before you.
And they tear it down, can they go right back where we approved it? Because she mentioned tearing it down.
If they tear down the fence, can they automatically put it back where it was, or they have to come back? to that?
This, what's before you now will bring the current fence into compliance. Because what it was is they got back in '98, they got a variance for it, but it wasn't constructed in the right place. But for 20 years, went undiscovered. But when we tried to use the fence as a point of reference for the building to request, we realized that the fence wasn't in the right place, so I could not use it as a point of reference, so they had to go back and get it resurveyed.
Mr. Chairman.
But the question is, if they tear down the fence, what they said they're going to do,
Yes, sir.
can they put the new fence back up in the same place without a variance?
Not if you don't approve.
If we approve it now, then they can.
Yes, sir. This will bring it in, this action will bring it in, the fence in compliance as well. Yes,
Even
sir.
this fence or a future fence?
Yes, sir.
Gotcha.
Can you move your accessory structure behind the pool and closer to the back corner of your lot?
To the left?
It'd be down towards the bottom corner, the bottom left-hand corner of your lot. Can you move the accessory structure down behind?
There's already a building there. The pool stuff is all in there.
Okay, but can you move it, say, where it's directly behind the pool room?
There's no way to get it back there, sir.
Mr. Chairman.
What do you mean there's no way? You have, surely, is there not enough room to go around the corner of your pool and then down?
No.
But it'll be too close to the neighbors.
Well, you only need 5 feet on that side, whereas you need 30 on the, where it's located now.
I don't believe
And if you were within.
there's 13 feet back there, or 15 feet back there, between the pool and the fence. I don't have the measurements for that. I didn't know oh, yes, I do.
Well.
No, I don't.
And ma'am.
I left the folder home.
You probably don't have the answers to the questions here, okay?
Right.
And I'm going to ask the board to delay this to give y'all time to go and figure out where you might can relocate it to,
Okay.
okay?
Mhm.
And rather than us denying it,
Okay.
okay? Because this came in as a complaint. Somebody complained about it. Now,
Okay.
is anyone here in the audience care to address this item? Okay? All right. Ms. Brown, go ahead.
If they're going to take it down anyway, why can't they put it back like the board says that it has to be placed back? I mean,
If they can, if we approve it.
If we approve the fence, it's okay, but we're looking at two issues here. Okay, one is the fence and the other is the setback variance for the accessory structure.
I understand that, but we don't have a problem with the fence because I understood them to say that they're going to take it down anyway. So why can't they put it back according to the ordinance?
Well, if we approve the fence tonight, they can. We can approve this in two parts. We can approve the fence.
Are you asking whether they should bring it back to where they don't have to ask for a variance?
But that's
The utilities are running there, the ones that are going down Chappelle, and so we can't dig there.
They won't have enough room, is what you're saying.
Well,
Can we approve?
we can approve the fence.
We can approve
Yes,
half.
we can approve the fence part, but ask them to come back next meeting without an additional fee for us to consider the accessory structure. Okay?
So just to clarify, if we can move it and it's 5 feet from the neighbor's yard to the left, it's fine in there.
No, ma'am, I didn't say that. You still have the front setback issue on the street side. Okay?
No, but I mean, if we move it so that it's not on Chappelle, if we moved it to
It's got to be 30 feet off that property line.
So that it's on the back side of the pool is what
Sure.
we're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where the other building
Yes, sir.
is now?
Yes, sir. I think 5 feet. Isn't that the setback on that on the side, James?
But it still has to be 30
It would be
feet.
5 feet on the rear too, which would be between the pool and the rear property line would be, it'd be a 5-foot setback. I don't know if they can meet it.
30 feet.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Can I make
All right.
a suggestion to them?
All right.
Suggest.
They
Do
can,
what?
they
Can I
can
make
come
a
see me.
suggestion to them? All right, I'd like to make a suggestion, y'all.
Okay.
So if we're gonna make a motion for y'all to come back, I would suggest that you talk to your neighbor, see if it's okay for you to put that structure there, okay? If you can't move it within 5 feet, okay? If it's 4 feet or 3 feet, because then you might need a variance there, okay? But it might be an
Okay.
easier variance than